Good afternoon. Yes, so you must have been waiting. I was just stuck up, and so we're starting with this question. This test 3, you are now supposed to. We will discuss during this session, and but before that, uh, as I told you earlier, that some of the questions of some of the logical questions that you need to know, though UPSC has not asked many questions from that area, but you should not be at the scratch levels, and so some of the basics I am going to discuss about these questions. So for example, number one, any question that is, if there is any question based on this, that parallel reasoning. So parallel reasoning is like, in case the author, whatever the author has said in the paragraph, you need to understand the author's argument structure, right? And identify its structure, its orientation, and from the given options, you have to find out that which option is exactly based on the same structure and orientation. That is the question of parallel reasoning. So you need to establish the analogy, the similarity between the two, between the given paragraph, the argument there, and the given option. So here is one question that I like we solve in this sheet. The sheet I must show you. This is critical reasoning based questions, miscellaneous. We have already solved corollary and implication questions from this sheet, right? You all remember the corollary and implication we have solved. The question I'm talking about, one question is based on parallel reasoning given here. Parallel reasoning. So as per the given paragraph, the option based on the same structure. And so the author talks about despite developed countries have no right to ask developing countries to cap their carbon emissions in order to curtail global warming. Since the former means since the developed countries, since the former have been instrumental in releasing large amounts of carbon to fuel developments and bringing the environment to its current stage. So developed countries have no right to ask developing countries to do something. Why? Because the developed countries themselves have done something wrong, right? This is the structure of this passage. Which option is the most appropriate one? So first you answer of this question with Biswajit. We'll come back to that sheet. So which option is the appropriate one? So waiting for your answer. So here somebody can't preach, developed countries can't preach the developing on the ground that they themselves have done something wrong earlier. Based on that, you have option C, Anis. Good. I think others will agree or won't. Anir, you have chosen D option. D option, the green movement which seeks to save the environment by urging companies to practice sustainable manufacturing is forgetting that such products will be more expensive, thus marginalizing the poor. Dear, this is not the same structure, because here developed countries themselves have done something wrong, and here the green movement, which is asking, which seeks to save environment by urging companies to practice this, has not done something wrong, but rather it is like is forgetting one aspect, one important thing, that they themselves have not, I mean the green movement itself has not caused, but it is just forgetting one aspect. That's what here mentioned. So D is not exactly on the same structure. It is the C option, right? C, yes. I think everybody has chosen C, yes. Anirv, so you need to identify the same structure. The parallel reasoning based question has not been asked by UPSC, for the last, I think 11, is the inception year of 2011 till now. However, this question is asked in other exams. So if they ask, you understand in parallel reasoning what you are supposed to do. And next question I take after parallel reasoning is, if they ask you a question to solve a paradox or an anomaly, same words and both have this meaning. Paradox and anomaly means something that is contradictory. So paradox or anomaly based question, UPSC has not asked, however, you must know about them. Let me take you, so first of all, paradox, everybody understand? Paradox or anomaly is something that is contradictory, against the norms, against the usual practice. So whichever gives you a contradicting sense is in itself a paradox. Question from based on paradox is here, one passage in miscellaneous sheet. So first we are supposed to identify, the question asks you which of the following, if true, best explains the anomaly above. If true is already written, hence you are not going to question that where this option has come from. If true, it means that an imaginary situation, a certain condition not mentioned in the passage but has been written here, you have to decide whether that condition is explaining the given paradox or not, or anomaly or not. The first thing that you should be clear about, what is the anomaly in the passage. So author here says, normally increase in the price of a product decreases its sales, except when the price increase accompanies an improvement in the product. Okay, so a normal case has been told that an increase in the price will decrease its sales unless, with the condition it comes, there is some value addition. So some value addition, some plus added, only then the sale is not affected. Then author tells you about Veblen goods. Veblen goods are a group of commodities of which people's preference for buying them increases with an increase in their price, even if there is no change in the product itself. Now you have noticed the anomaly here. The paradox here is the Veblen goods. The author says that normally it happens that if the price goes up, the sales comes down unless there is some quality addition. However, there is no quality addition in Veblen goods, yet people's preference for buying them increases with an increase in their price. Increases with an increase in their price means that if the product of, let's say that A is the product of Veblen goods and its price is rupees X and the number of purchasers are Y. If the price increases, this line says, if the price increases, it becomes X plus something. The number of purchaser does not remain Y, but it also increases. It becomes Y plus something. There is a next increase in the price, X plus, then the number does not remains Y plus 5. It also increases. It becomes Y plus plus. So you will have to solve this puzzle, that how it happens and which option is explaining that. Fine. So find out the explanation. Which option you will choose? Okay, so the answer has been chosen as D option. But D option says consumers who purchase Veblen goods regularly have strong opinions about the brands they prefer. Since you have a familiar thing here that seems to be making some sense, like these people, they are brand loyal or brand conscious. Hence, this is the case. But look at this simplification that I have done. People's preference for buying their products increases with an increase in their price. It means the people preference does not remain same if there is an increase in the price. It also increases every time there is a price increase, and every time there is an increase in the number of purchasers. So if these people were just brand loyal, the number of purchasers should have remained same. Like if these people are Y and the price was X, next time the price has been increased, the number of Y should have been intact because these people are brand loyal or brand conscious. But why there is an increase in Y? And why there is every time increase in the price it is accompanied by an increase in the number of purchasers. So that is not answered by D, that is answered by, let me see, is there any student who has chosen that option? That is given by B option. Consumers selecting Veblen goods in a store often use the price charged as their main guide to the product's quality. So they look at the price charge, whatever is on the top of the list, the highest price, they go for that. So every time there's an increase in the price of a product, the people also, I mean that number of the people purchasing that goods also goes up because they believe that price is the main thing, right? Had it been loyal, brand loyal, the number would have remained same, number of purchasers. But the number of purchases is also increasing every time, so only B option is making sense in this case. So dear, UPSC has not asked any question, but in other exams it is asked. So one question is sufficient. That's why I'm asking you, just be aware that first thing you identify what is the paradox or anomaly in the passage. Then if they ask you, yes, Parth has got it correct. If they have been asked to find out the explanation for that anomaly, then only you should think the second step. Sometimes the question also asks that what is the paradox? So you just need to find out the contradiction there. All right, let's go to the third type of question, that is argument based question. Argument based questions only once in the year CSAT 20 in the paper CSAT 2015 there was one question which comes close to this. That's why it is also included. So there are three types of questions of argument based. Three types of questions are there. Number one, either the examiner will ask you that what is the flaw in the argument, FLAW, flaw means logical error, or number two, it may ask you that find and which option is strengthening the argument, supporting, which means is strengthening argument, or number three, maybe weakening argument. So of course strengthening and weakening will be just opposite. You have to find out an option that supports the author's argument the most. Argument when appears in the question, it means the main point that author is trying to establish. So while reading these passages, one thing you need to be clear about, that these passages author will be for something or against something. It will like very debatable nature he will have. There will be no description or this kind of thing. Rather will be the author will be for something and against something. For support he will be putting forth the premises, sharp argument supporting that, or if he is going to disprove something, he will write similarly the sharp arguments, criticizing the other thing or weakening the other thing. So when you are asked to find out the supporting or weakening, it means you have to support the author's main point or you have to attack the author's main point. But flaw in the argument, flaw means a logical error. The author, while making his argument, he might have done some logical error, and you are simply expected to identify that. For example, if I say, the other day I gave this example, I said that IPL should be banned. And two reasons I gave, that players participate just for the purpose of minting money. Second, I said that betting and match fixing and all these are against Indian value system, and these all activities are associated with IPL. Both reasons seem good. But if I say that during the IPL there is an acute water shortage in Mumbai, this is flawed, because when you say that in Mumbai there is an acute shortage, then why are you asking for a pan-India ban? So only in Mumbai the matches could be cancelled or could not be held. So Flaw in the argument means you have to find out the logical error. And how will you identify that logical error? When you read the passage, author will be writing the premises, the reasons, and then he will write his point, his argument. Generally, while making this conclusion, while making his main point, author will here assume something. He will, I mean, some supposition or some kind of generalization he will do. So, and that will be incorrect. That will be questionable. So, some sort of author's intervention will be there, and with that will be flawed. So, generally you will find it here. It means that you follow the author's evidences, and when he goes to the main point, there you notice that what he has, I mean, the flawed reasoning that he has used there. And each student, each of you are able to identify that whether the argument is sound or it is flawed, right, fractured. So, anything where the personalized view without properly evaluating the data plays a role, that will be for flawed argument. So, let me show you a question of flaw in the argument. And here, argument based question, flaw in the argument. Though one question. Yes, I suppose everybody will be able to get the answer, provided you notice that what is the author's main argument, main point. Simplify that and then proceed. So, the first part till here is the premise. From this premise, author goes to the conclusion. Thus, the conclusion starts here. Yes, very good. The correct answer is option C. All the answers are correct. I mean, yes, Parth, Meghmala, Anish, and Biswajit. Biswajit, you have missed it. Everybody has chosen option C. Flaw is there because author has assumed something. Assume that the purchasers and the players of the game are the same. They could be same and they could be different also. The author has simply overlooked this possibility. Sometimes you purchase goods for someone else. So if these people in this age group, 35 to 50 age group, if they are purchasing video games, not necessarily they are going to play themselves. They might be purchasing for others also. That's a possibility. Like you purchase medicines for some other family members, the elderly in the family. So when you are purchasing medicine, if the chemist assumes that you yourself is going to consume, that his reasoning is flawed. The same thing author has done. Biswajit, your answer A. And now, even Jagannath is there to give you company. Both of you assume that both demographic groups are equally proficient at playing video games. Where is the proficiency? Author not at all talking about the proficiency of the game. These and both groups are very good at games. Jagannath and Biswajit, I think you had this lunch break. पता नहीं आपने क्या खाया नहीं खाया कुछ? So dear A, I was a bit apprehensive that you might choose B. But you simply baffled me by choosing option A. Option B you look at ignores the fact that the video games can be played irrespective of one's age. In fact, 35 to 50 is mentioned, so some people might jump to this. But author has no problem with the age. His problem is that he thus look at the conclusion, thus refuting the popular misconception that it is the latter demographic group that is most addicted to video games. So author said these people 35 to 50 are and more purchasers are there in that age group, where 15 to 20 is said to be addicted. So his problem is with this misconception. ये जो भ्रम है, गलतफहमी है कि youngsters are addicted to video games. Author has problem against that. Author does not have a problem that why this, these middle-aged people 35 to 50 are playing video games. So identifying the actual argument will be the key for all argument-based questions. In simple terms, in crystal clear manner, you need to identify that what exactly is the author's argument. Simplify that. Only then proceed to the next step, that what you are going to do, support it, find a flaw or weaken it. If your first step is not clear, that is what is the exact argument that author is putting forth. If that is not clear, then you are bound to commit error in the next point, that is identification of the option. So be careful that first step must be clear. और वो पहला step आपने अब देखिए strengthening argument if you come to, here I have given those points for you, for you to read and then understand that what you are supposed to do. Since I have explained it, so I am going to give you this passage number 1. Passage number 1 you solve. Organic farming on average has lower input. But pay attention to the question. First, you should read the question. It says, which of the following best supports the claim that organic farming will be profitable? So you have to show organic farming profitable and which option is doing it. Of course, there will be comparisons. So do that. Your data analysis is very, very important part for these questions. Waiting for your answer for passage 1, organic farming versus chemical based farming. Okay, so the answer for this should be option C. Some of you have chosen D also. D is giving a competition, but you have to decide that which option has more mass to support the given question. So dear, it has been told that organic farming mein the input cost is low, as well as the production, the yield is also low in organic farming. However, this option says that people are ready to pay high amount for organic products. So dear, it means that the low yield has been evened out and by this option. So this one is supporting and doing the job more than D option. D option is not directly talking about organic farming, rather it talks about your chemical based farming. So prolonged use of pesticide, because the pesticides are used there, is known to make pests resistant to them and call for increased dosage and hence increased cost. So you already know that pesticides are not used in organic farming, they are used in chemical based farming, that is mentioned here, conventional farming as. So in conventional farming, pesticides is known to make pests resistant to them and call for increased dosage and hence increase. So it is saying that in the chemical based farming, there will be the input cost will go up. But it is silent on the organic farming. It does not say anything. And the question asks you to show that which option is showing organic farming profitable. So since C is directly addressing, hence it is the better option than D. I suppose it is clear to you. So supporting argument and weakening argument may you have to have a very keen sharp eyes to evaluate the data, and you will have to weigh and compare, and then which way it is tilting to. So you may come across more than one option doing the job. However, you are supposed to choose the correct option on the basis of relative merit. Okay. Let me give you one more question. That is passage number 3. 2 I skip, passage number 3, move forward. After that, we'll take up this issue. Biswajit, as you have written, last 2 answers, please tell miscellaneous. So Biswajit, once I am done with weakening and strengthening, you are supposed to remind me about these 2 miscellaneous questions you are talking about. All right, correct answer. Third A is the right answer. I think everybody on the same page? Absolutely correct. This is the best option. But you know about this continental drift theory, and you can connect with this, and so whenever you are able to connect with the context, in an effective manner, or you are comfortable with the context, the chances are greater that you will get your answer correct. So this passage 3 was not easier or more difficult than passage number 1, but somehow you missed that. So anyway, now you look at passage number 2. Passage number 2, question is that which of the following would most effectively meet the author's point? Meet the author's point. There are various ways of asking a strengthening argument, supporting, meet the author's point, or they may ask that which of the option the author would agree with. So you have to identify what the author is saying. Special attention should be there on these 2 questions that he has raised here. So they will help you to identify his point. Be careful. And the last option is in fact none of the above. So D is not on your board. The last option is all of the above. All of the above. Anis, cross check your answer. ओके विश्वजीत, प्रैक्टिस सेट 2। क्योंकि बहुत सारा मिसलेनियस मिसलेनियस हो गया तो सब कुछ मिसलेनियस मिक्स हो गया। So look at this. I just explained the first option, B option first. You look at this part that I have underlined. The author says it is the cumbersome process. So filing returns is the cumbersome process. Option B, allowing the individual to make payment through internet and avoiding paperwork. This is already happening. Computerization has already started. So author is against filing the returns through computer. I mean, he is against this filing return process. So this entire process he calls cumbersome. Hence, B is not the answer. C, government should pay the income tax on behalf of the individual. The point is then to whom the government will pay, and then will it be called income tax. So this B option is illogical. Option A is the right answer. This meets the author's point. What author intends to say? Introducing a tax on consumption at the point of sale of goods and abolishing income tax. So author is also saying ki why not go a step forward and free the individual from the whole cumbersome process of filing returns. Option A, who has chosen? Joy Subra. Your answer is yes, correct. So strengthening argument questions you have seen, we are supposed to support, and we will have to compare, and then now go to the weakening argument question. Just opposite thing you will be doing here. The teaching points are written here, so that may help you. And this is the question that I was talking about in CSAT 2015. Passage 1 was asked. I'll come back to this passage, but first I show you how to solve the questions. So let me take a question, passage 2, 3, passage 4 I'm discussing with you. After that I will give you passage number 2 and 3. Passage 2, which is statement if true. So please remember that in these questions of strengthening and weakening argument, already it will be written that which of the following if true is going to support or weaken. It means that you are not going to raise this question that where the option has come from. That we used to ask in the assumption and inference question, that the data should be given in the passage. So here that relevant mentioning will not be there in the passage, the relevant data may not be in the passage, it could be another, an outside situation that is given. So you have to weaken the argument. It says air travel is becoming increasingly more dangerous. How the author has come to this view? On the basis of this data. The data, the premise is written in the second sentence, and conclusion, main point, main argument is first sentence. Air travel is becoming increasingly more dangerous. The author tells you the data. In the last year, there have been 7 major collisions resulting in over 700 deaths, more deaths than in any previous year. So since there has been more deaths than deaths in any past years, previous years, that's why author is saying that air travel is becoming more dangerous. And his second sentence is the evidence that author uses to establish his point. You have to weaken. A weaken may what you can do, you need to anticipate that what your correct answer should look like. For that you need to know the notion, the direction in which the option will go. So since air travel is being blamed that it is becoming more and more dangerous because of this data that there have been more deaths, so you will have to choose an option that shifts the blame or that actually refutes the accusation that air travel is becoming more dangerous. That is the author's claim, and directly you have to rebuttal it. So your rebuttal will be based on this notion that air travel is not being dangerous. Any situation that seems to be establishing this point will be your answer. Now we go to the options. So clarity must be there, right? What is their author's argument? In case you are going to weaken or strengthen it, then what kind of option, which way it will be heading to, you need to anticipate, and then evaluation of the option. Here I find that option D is very weird. How? It says last year, your job is to eliminate the weaker ones. Like if you read option A, making some sense. Option D says last year the average number of passengers per flown plane was significantly lower than that of previous years. And the author is saying there have been more deaths last year than any previous years. How come when the average number of passengers are low, that number is lower, still there are more deaths? It means it proves that actually the previous year there have been, this air travel is becoming more dangerous. Last year the average number of passengers per flown plane was significantly lower than that of previous year. Yet there were more deaths, as the author has said. There were more deaths. So if the number of passengers were lower and the author has said there have been more deaths in previous year, so that does not do the job to weaken the author's argument. So D cannot be chosen. Option B, if you look at it, says the increase in collisions. Yani collisions in what? The air collisions it talks about, air accidents. The increase in collisions can be explained by statistical coincidence, hijacking and unusual weather. Can be explained by. Here the author is not doing, this option is not doing the job of weakening the argument, rather just giving you an explanation that why there were more deaths. So since there were more collisions last year and this option just says the increase in collisions can be explained. We don't need the explanation of this behind this increase in the number of accidents. Rather we need an option that weakens the author's argument, and that argument is that air travel is becoming increasingly more dangerous. So we have to show no, it is not. So B is not doing that job. On the number of accidents it is silent, it is giving the explanation behind this increase, behind this rise in accidents. So A and B and D are out. Now option A and C. I want you to choose one of the options. I am waiting for your answer. D, I have already told you that that is the weakest option. Option C or option D, these two you need to evaluate. But be careful, it's a very good question. So Anal has chosen 4th A. Biswajit, you have gone for C. Okay. What option C is doing? Mortality per passenger mile is lower for air travel than for any kind of surface transportation. It says mortality, the death rate per passenger mile is lower for air travel than any other surface transportation. It means the death in air travel is lower than railways or roadways or waterways. But the argument is not comparing it. In the argument, the author is not comparing air travel with any other mode of transportation. What is happening here? Author has said air travel is becoming increasingly more dangerous. And then its own record of the last year and the previous years are compared. So air travel by its own standard has become more dangerous. That is the argument. The author is not saying that air travel in comparison to railway In comparison to roadways, it is more dangerous. So this comparison is futile. Option A is the right answer. You understand? It's just like, suppose you have been scoring in, you have been a very meritorious student, and throughout your schooling you have, college, you have scored in 90s. One particular year you have scored only 80%. Now, of course, you are upset, your parents are upset. They said that you have gone down from your own standard. So their argument is that you have gone down because you were earlier in 90s bracket, now you are in 80s. So you have gone down. Your parents are not comparing, so you cannot say Papa, you look at these students, they have even failed in the exams. These students who have scored just grace marks. Because the first argument of your father is that he is not comparing you with any other student. From your own standard, you have gone down. Similarly, air travel is becoming increasingly more dangerous, and the data suggests that from its own standard. Hence, option A, not C, because it compares with other mode of transportation. So, A says, since the volume of air traffic has been increasing all the time, an increase in the number of deaths due to collisions does not necessarily mean greater danger. What is it said in simple terms? Volume of air traffic has been going up. So let's say that there were only, in the previous years, there were only 100 flights, and the number of death, the cases of accidents was just 5%. So the number was 5, maybe 5 deaths or 5 accidents. Now the number of flights have become 500, volume has gone up. Still the ratio is 5%, however the number will be 25, 5% of 500. So this is what option A is doing. So Anil and Joy Subra and who else has, it is a very good question. It was very small, but the options are good. So you must have learned by now that in weakening or strengthening argument, first of all, what is the argument that you are going to weaken, what it will look like, that anticipation, all these points will play important role. Go for passage number 2 and 3. बल्कि आप इसमें 1, 2, 3 कर लो. Passage 1, 2 and 3. So the CSAT, look at the question, this 2015. It says, which one of the following statement is least essential as part of the argument in the above passage? Least essential, it means either it will be, least essential means it will be not relevant to the argument given there. So either it may be weakening or it may be just neutral. Neutral मतलब irrelevant. So weakening हो सकता है और irrelevant, किसी भी तरह का option, that will be correct. It means 3 options, or in another way you can say that the rest of the 3 options will be supporting the argument or will be the offshoot of the same argument. So you have, dear, 5 to 6 minutes to solve passage 1, 2 and 3. 5 to 6 minutes, and passage 1, 2 and 3. Least essential to the argument. Sripama, least essential to the argument written by the author. Understand the meaning of the question and then evaluate. Alright, so the answers for 3 passages. This first one, this only option A is least essential. It is irrelevant to the passage, otherwise all the 3 are connected. So Anirban and Anis, you all have got correct answer. Man seeks control over, the passage talks about division, among men on the basis of their skill set or expertise. So that enables them to rule. There are others who are to be ruled, and the author talks about that. Human history abounds in claims that theories of confining the right of governing to a few select citizens. So this right of governing is confined, limited to a few select citizens. Then he tells you there are a few who are there to govern. Exclusion of the many from governing is justified on the ground that human beings may be rightfully segregated for the good of society. Number one reason. And second reason is that, and viability of the political process. Reason number 2. Why many people are not allowed or excluded from ruling, from governing, is because of this two reasons. For rightfully segregated, rightfully author has justified. One reason, good for society, it is good because the people who rule generally, why author is calling good for society, because the leaders are supposed to be wise, honest, dedicated, intelligent, visionary. So for the good of society, suppose that they will do good. Whereas the rogues and wicked ones, they will of course create problems. So righteousness and all that leadership quality, you understand. Second, viability of the political process, of course, because if too many people involved in governing, then how will you hold it? The viability of the political process will be in question. Option B, C, D, all three are according to the argument. Only option A talks about man as a whole, and there is no division. Though there is a division, few select citizens are there to govern. There are many who are excluded from governing. So your option A is the right answer. For passage 2, it talks about a multi-banded test, and the correct answer should be option D. The other options are also weakening, but second is the best option. Very good. And Priyasmita Parth, and you have chosen C. Priyasmita, your answer is correct, option D. So dear, इसमें D क्यों? Because this says that indicator shows erratic results when there is a slight difference in room temperature. Ab slight means even in points. You cannot control the room temperature at home with this much accuracy. So the question asks you to in fact weaken which of the following if true, most weak question the recommendation of the pathologist. So you have to weaken the recommendation of the pathologist. What is the recommendation of the pathologist given in the last line? Pathologists in India are now encouraging all people to buy home kits. They encourage, it means your options must discourage them, must tell something about the home kit so that no buyer is going for it, should go for it. So if you go for option A, it's a weaker option. It says indicator works only when seen against sunlight. It means the indicator cannot work during nights or cloudy days. That's a limitation. But then it is not as strong as the D option is. B option says if the test is carried just after taking a meal, it does not always show the correct result. Again, it is within the control of the patient that he does not administer the test just after taking meal, rather he may have some gap. So B is again not as strongly weakening as the option D. So both A and B have some alternatives like आप day में test कर सकते हैं. You can have a gap before you administer the test. C option is in fact irrelevant option, neutral, because it says this one is a neutral option or an irrelevant option. It is normal for children to show high content of the protein in urine. From the passage it has been taken, but it does not affect the argument. The passage tells you that in this home kit, what it does, it indicates, test gives early warning of kidney damage by detecting the amount of protein in urine of the high risk patients. But it is for the high risk patients, such as those suffering from diabetes or hypertension. For such patients, if there is more protein in the urine, that is a early warning. So author explains here, too much may indicate, and too much protein may indicate that kidneys are not functioning efficiently and that the patient should be referred to a specialist. But the patient of diabetes and hypertension, now you know that very rarely children have these issues. Generally the elderly and the old people are, they suffer from this disease. So it is normal for children, even the high content of protein of the children does not matter here. So D is the right option because you can't control the room temperature at home with so much precision that there is not a slight difference. You need a specialized lab. If you need a specialized lab, then what is the purpose of home kit? So D is the right answer. Passage number 3. And the correct option should have been chosen as C. If the gene is the issue, then it is invincible, and no, the early, this newly married couple who have shifted to this place for longevity of life. Of course, if the genes are the reasons, then they cannot overcome. Everybody has chosen the correct answer. So dear, here we are. I have told you that the questions, such questions that may be asked, parallel reasoning, You know that what you are supposed to do, you are just supposed to find out the similarity in the argument structure and the correct option. Paradox base, identify the contradictory situation, then find out which option explains that. Argument based question, 3 types: flaw, strengthening, weakening. First thing, be clear about what is the argument and then only take the second step. Right? So we have done these questions. Now I want you to first of all I must address the doubt. Biswajit, you said that in practice sheet 2 miscellaneous I have to discuss 2 questions, question number 16 and 17. Okay, 16 and 17. Yes, I forgot to ask the score. Bidisha, very good, 3 out of 3. Wonderful. Now this question asks you, with reference to the above passage, consider the following statements. Indian financial institutions do not offer any financial instrument to rural households. Do not offer any financial instruments to rural household is wrong. And if when you read this part, read this sentence, author says such access to financial instruments, such access is not always available. Please look at the word, choice of words, not always available. It means the author is not saying that it is never available. Not always available. Not always available to all people, so it may be available to some. All people in developing countries like India and more so in rural areas. In urban areas this problem may be there, but more problem is there in the rural areas. But it nowhere saying it in an absolute term that there is no access, which so the first statement is wrong. They may not be comparatively it may be low. However, it does not say that there is no financial instrument. So first, to clearly wrong hai. Second, poor households tend to spend their earning savings due to lack of access to appropriate financial institutions. Lack of access to appropriate finance, yes, absolutely correct. And you look at the last part. Author says savings help poor households manage volatility in cash flow, smoothen consumption and build working capital. Poor households without access to a formal saving mechanism encourage immediate spending temptations. That's why he has done advocacy for a financial institution that should be there. So dear, koi issue nahi hona tha. 16 mein your answer should have been option B. Second question of this one is asking you crucial message. Crucial message of the passage: establish more banks. Author is talking about financial institutions. Let me show you. In the passage it talks about formal financial institutions. Now banks are not the only formal financial institutions. Post offices are also there where the poor can deposit their money. So that offers safe, reliable and alternative institution is fundamentally mobilizing savings, and then author talks about that. So when you go for option A, it means you have missed out, though it is okay, author is not negating this, he is saying that this, but that is not the crucial message when the D option is written, promote financial inclusion, because he talks about the poor and he says that in the absence of such formal institutions, the poor is tempted to spend and not save his money. So savings nahi ho pati isliye, that's why he has done the advocacy. So D is the right answer. Biswajit, have you got it? So I have done this one. Now let me take you to the passages, to a test 3 miscellaneous questions. Now this test I will give you in parts, same type of questions, then another chunk and chunk. So this way I will give you this test. Since I have seen that assumption questions are quite often asked, and they also pose some challenge to the students. So I'm first going to give you some assumption questions. So test 3 is there with everyone, and test 3, the assumption questions start from passage number 7. So students, you are supposed to solve passage number 7, then 8 of this test 3, passage 7, passage 8, and then passage 9, 7, 8, 9, ये 3 हो जाएगा. उसके बाद there is passage number 11, yes. So I write 7, 8, 9 and then 11. You need to gain confidence, and I have to see your speed and accuracy level. So same type of questions I give you, starting from assumption questions, passage number 7, 8, 9, 11, and then go to the last part of this test, passage number 23. Okay, 5 questions of assumption. Assumption, you know, conclusion will be given. For author, you have to find out the assumption, to go for P to see which option is missing, and that is going to bridge the gap. You have to do that. As an assumption will always be supporting the main point. So please identify the main point. The main point, any conclusion will always be there in the passage. Keeping these basics in mind, you proceed to passage number 7. चलिए इसको यहाँ से स्टार्ट कर दीजिए. 7, 8, 9, 11 and then 23. Alright, so the answer for 7, these passages. Question number 7. Anirban and Madhurima has given the answers. For 7th, it should be for 9th, for 11th. For passage 23, question number 24 is the option B. So here are the answers. 7th C. Parth has got the correct answer for 7th. 8th C. And Parth you missed there. Anirban and Madhurima got correct answer. 9th D. Yes. 11th D. And 23 B. So students have got either 4 correct or 7C, 8A, 9D. So quickly the doubts. These are the answers we have seen. Now let me take you to the passage number. The 23 passage is here. Everybody has got this one correct. Author's main point, the assumption will be based on the main point, any conclusion, supporting the conclusion. So author's main point is that is given in the passage as the issue of skills and competencies of the staff pose an even greater challenge. And then he only talks about issue of skills and competencies. So that's why he complains that the issue of skills and competency has not been taken on priority basis. Rather simple is cadre and recruitment rules only specify the bare minimum in academic qualification. There is no mention of managerial or technical competencies or of relevance. And he has already said that urban, they require this urban service delivery and infrastructure are complex to plan and execute, and they require a high degree of specialization and professionalism. The skills they require, but we don't have, we don't emphasize on that. So the valid assumption will be supporting the main point, and that is in B option. Our cities can provide better quality of life in our local government bodies if our local government bodies have adequate staff with required skills and competencies. With required skills and competencies. This is the right answer. So Bidisha got all correct, wonderful. And then there are 4 out of 5. Spendan, this time you got 3. So dear, 23 must have been correct, and I can see that most of you have chosen the correct answer. Spendan missed 23rd one. You chose Spendan C, which is not given anywhere. That lack of skilled staff is due to the absence of institutions which offer the requisite skill in city management. What I told you about in assumption, that first of all assumption should be aligning with the author's thought mentioned in the passage, that is C, and at the same time the data should also be given. But we find that no data is given for this part. The lack of skilled staff is there, but why it is lack of skilled? It gives you the reason that absence of institutions which offer the requisite skills in city management. It is such institution not there that can impart training. Nowhere in the passage it is given. Hence, you should not have chosen an option for which the data is not given. Moving to other passages. अब देखिए पैसेज नंबर 7 में the main point is, author's main point is here. He says that funny advertisements people remember, but the drawback is that, but as an advertising technique, humor has its drawbacks. What is that? Studies have shown that while many viewers of humorous advertisement, they vividly recall the commercials, far fewer recall the name of the product being promoted. So people are unable to remember the name of the product, they remember the funny part of that ad. That is the feedback, that is the drawback. Then author comes to the conclusion, he says this casts doubt on the ability of humorous commercials, no matter how funny or enjoyable, to increase product sales. It means there is some relation between the product sales and the ability of the viewers to remember them. So remembering the name of the product and the sales have something in common, and an assumption will bridge the gap. So the option C is doing the job. A commercial that fails to create product name recognition does not increase sales of the product. It is in the must be true category. 7th C. Moving to passage 8, which is very easy. What this professor has said, he said his point is, actors now attending the universities are more interested in studies than the actors of 10 years ago. And author and the professor use the premise. This is the premise. This is the conclusion. The premise is, the proof is that more and more of my students who are actors attend class on regular basis. It means, to the professor, his assumption is that the attending the class is a symbol, is a sign of being a good and serious student. That is written in C option. So it was a very, I mean, you were supposed to go by book. That's it. And you would have got this one correct. Passage number 9 is a bit tricky. However, again going by book, you can identify this. First of all, this passage number 9 is very specific. It says the official's conclusion logically depends on which of the following assumption. Official's conclusion. So please identify the official's conclusion that is given here. It says one such official concluded. There is a possibility that the government may not allow as given in the passage, the government in a country X may not could prohibit high-level government officials from accepting positions as a lobbyist. There is a possibility of this. High-level government officials may not be allowed to accept position as a lobbyist for 3 years. So this officer says, he concludes, one such official concluded, however, that such a prohibition would be unfortunate. Why? Because it would prevent high-level government officials from earning a livelihood. From earning a livelihood, it means they cannot earn their bread. They cannot earn their bread. So for 3 years, this officer is saying that the lobbyist, I mean the high-level government officials, if they are not allowed to work as a lobbyist, they won't be able to earn their livelihood. It means there is no other alternative source of income or no alternative source of profession available for these high-level government officials except working as a lobbyist. तो उसके पॉइंट से आपको क्या पता चल रहा है? जब वो कहता है कि हम रोजी रोटी नहीं कमा सकते अगर ये बैन लग गया तो टू वर्क एज ए लॉबिस्ट, तो वी कैन नॉट अर्न अवर लाइवलीहुड. इट मीन्स देयर इज नो अदर सोर्स अवेलेबल. सो डी इज द राइट ऑप्शन. High level government officials who leave government service are capable of earning a livelihood only as lobbyists. Yes, from the official's argument point we get this. Other options are haywire. They are going in different directions. No information is given about low-level government officials, so you should not make any assumption related to that. Moreover, the question is very specific, and the officer has not mentioned low-level government officials, so you are not supposed to go to see. B, lobbyists are typically people who have previously been high-level government. This is already given, and it has nothing to do with the question of officials' conclusion. And A option, laws should not restrict the behavior of former government officer. Here the specific law is, and it is still not a law. If you read the para, it is a possibility only. Like sometimes in media also in our country, some news starts circulating. However, there is no truth behind that. It says, look at this. In country X, the authorities could prohibit. It means there is a possibility from accepting the work as a lobbyist, right? And then this officer also talks in an imaginary sense. He says, however, that such a prohibition would be unfortunate. So it has not been done. So where is the question of law? A is out. So passage number 11 is very easy, and statement based question. You said, since the advertisement said here that if you want hassle free, it means many people desire convenience. We can establish the relation. Fine. So folks, is that clear? Let me now take you to another type of question. Yes, question number 9D was written with the word only. It sounds extreme. However, you should have been, it depends on the, according to context, it is correct. So folks, next type of question I give you is that I'm going to give you all the main idea based questions. So go for now main idea base, any conclusion type of. Passage number 2. Passage number 5 and 6. Seven and 9 we have already done. Passage number 12, it asks about the message. Passage 13 and 14, asking about the key idea. Passage 20, implied idea. Passage 22, passage 24 and 25, passage 24 and passage 25. तो कितने हो गए 4 plus 3 7 plus 3 10. These 10 passages. Anish, I have discussed passage 9. Acha, that's earlier message. So we start from passage number 2. Logical conclusion. Take care that you do not spend more than 2 minutes on this passage or the other passages. Passage 5 was asked in CSAT paper. Okay, so the answers of these questions, main idea based questions, total 10, and starting from passage number 2, passage 2, it should be option A. Passage next is passage 5. Of passage 5, it should be option A. 6B option A. Then passage 12. The banking sector crucial message, option D. 13 A, D, A, D, A. Should be D, A, and A. Then passage 20th. Imply. It should be option D. 22. Passage 22, the answer legal imperatives, it should be option B. Passage 22, option B. And passage number 24, better I write 24, then passage 24 and passage 25. '24 should be D and D and D. So the answer for 24 D, for 25 again D. Yes, cross check your answers and ask me the doubts quickly. Two A, 5A, 6A, 12D. 13A, 14A. Yes, your doubts, please. Yes, Anis, 8 out of 10, very good score. Doubt in 14. Okay. 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 10, 8 out of 10, 5 out of 10 is a concern. Abhijit, 5 out of 10. Doubt in 13, 14, 20 and 22. 22, 24, okay. 6-1. Passage number 6 is very easy. I'm not going to discuss this. Main idea has been asked. It is only talking about underwater volcanoes. They receive little attention but can be dangerous. Author has said here. Most people are surprised to learn about the prevalence of underwater volcanoes on our planet. Like it's written, people generally do not take note of these eruptions. However, the largest underwater volcanoes are capable of creating huge tidal waves threatening. So, if you miss passage like passage 6 kind of passages now, that is not then acceptable. This passage was a cakewalk, simply. So passage 6 is yes, Madan has got 9, Meghna and Meghmala and Subhajit and Jagannath and Bidisha. Most of you have got 80%, or now 9 out of 10, 90%. Passage 6 was very easy. You ask me the genuine doubt, passage number 2 is very easy, because if you connect both the dots, the conclusion is only option A. So these two are quite easy passages. Passage number 6, 2, 5 and 6 very easy. Like passage number 5, let me just have a look and decide whether it's passage number 5 is very easy. Duty to vote. Author has himself said that people deliberately refrain from taking interest in voting, political responsibility. So it all tends to duty to vote. Then we have passage number 12, and somebody has doubt in 12. So 12 देखिए, 12, even 12th is very easy. I'm not going to discuss this. It is asking about the message, right? And the author has given here the solution. And I have told you that solution should always be present in the passage. Author said there is a need for a new agenda for the banking and non-banking financial services that does not exclude the common man, right? So, because earlier the common man was missed out. So, of course, it is option D, need to promote financial inclusion. Common man should be included. Passage 13 and 14, yes, they are. There is a genuine doubt in these two passages because the close options are there. So when the passage 13, keynote being asked, it means the main point of the passage. Author here tells you the problem. Person with a volatile nature has a problem, and then from it is only the man, from here he talks about solution. So authors and the students are confused between two options, A and D. The correct answer is option A. We should first consult wisely and then resolve firmly. Firm resolution has been emphasized in the passage, right? Grit and determination once you have decided about your goal. So author from the solution part says it is only the man who first consults wisely, then resolves firmly, and then execute his purpose with inflexible perseverance. What is perseverance? Again, perseverance means when the going gets tough, still you do not give up. You continue. So it is more about your determination and firm, your grit. So undismayed, you remain undismayed by those petty difficulties. So all this thing is talking about resolution more. So option A. Only option D is very close. However, it says we should be resolute. It has said, but achievement oriented. Author has not emphasized more on achievement oriented. Rather than that, it mentions that perseverance should be there. You should not be you should remain undismayed by those petty difficulties that you come across. So it is the resolution part, resolve first. And moreover, first thing is that you first consult wisely. Achievement oriented, like you should be winner only and all that, then author is more emphasizing on option A. Passage 14, this passage asks you against the main idea. So the main idea is option A, but B is also an idea, however not the main idea. Some people might have chosen B. It is essential for human beings to work. Yes, from the beginning till the end, author has emphasized on that it is essential. B says there should be a balance between work and leisure. Just go for the reverse approach. These two are the passages 13 and 14 where you could have applied reverse approach because they ask crux based. So if you go for B, just imagine that B is the main idea. There should be a balance between work and leisure of a passage. Then the passage should talk about work and leisure both as an equal fitting, on an equal footing. Work and leisure, why leisure is important and all that. But leisure has only appeared in the last sentence. We have to settle here. The question we have to settle is how much leisure we can afford. And this leisure is coming, has been mentioned here in reference to work. The only question we have to settle is how much leisure we can afford. Author is not talking about here the benefits of leisure, why leisure should be there, it enhances your grasping power and this or that. No such discussion is there in the passage. Hence, you should have gone for that trick I shared with you, reverse approach. go for the reverse approach, that if this is the option, this is the main idea, then what the correct passage will look like, and then compare with the given passage. Option A is exactly on that track, B has deterred from that. In case anyone has chosen option C, it says working is a tyranny which we have to face. You remember I discussed with you tone questions, and I told you at that time that UPSC has not asked any direct question about tone. However, it is very important that, because it reveals the author's attitude on the topic. So, tyranny is used as a negative word. Tyranny means coercion. When the author is talking about working in a positive way, how can he use a negative word? So, working is a tyranny which we have to face is wrong. The human's understanding of the nature of work is essential. Author is talking about working, not just understanding the nature of work. There could be two different things. Even it is possible that a person who is, who knows who understands the nature of his work, yet he is not working. That's very much possible. So please understand that author's main argument is towards that you are born to work, you are supposed to work. If you don't work, then the implications. But this one is emphasizing on understanding the nature of work. So the correct option is option A, because B has not been given, the leisure has not been described in the passage as the work has been, and leisure has appeared in connection to work. So these were the questions where you could have said, ki sir, it was confusion. 13, 14, 20 to 25, I think they are cakewalk. Let me just have a look. 20th. Passage 20, yeah, passage 20 is a good one. It's a CSAT passage 20, so you might have some doubt. You know, this passage talks about in a democratic state where high degree of political maturity of the people obtains. Where high degree of politically mature people are there, what happens? The conflict between the will of the sovereign lawmaking body and the organized will of the people seldom occurs. Seldom means very rarely occurs. So when the conflict between the government and the general public, between their will, if it does not occur, hence there is no chance of, there is very minimal chance of force, because the force is used when there are conflicts. Then the state feels the need to suppress that conflict. So option A is totally wrong, because it talks about just any democracy. Paragraph talks about, and whatever it says force is the main phenomenon. Similarly, B is wrong, because it says force to a great extent is the main phenomenon. So both are going opposite to the passage. Option C, in a mature democracy, use of force is irrelevant in the actual exercise of sovereignty. See, the passage is not talking about use of force is irrelevant, because force may be used or may not be used. Author is talking about that force is seldom occurs. I mean, seldom there is a conflict, hence very rare usage of force. However, if you go for relevant or irrelevant, it raises the question of propriety of the use of force, the question of morality of the use of force. So C is incorrect, D is the wrong option. D is the right option, because it talks about the frequency of the use of force. So D is the answer. Now passage number 22. The passage says that corresponds to. From here the interrelations are being discussed. Nature of legal imperative in any given state corresponds to the effective demands that a state encounters, and these demands are there from from the people on the basis of the economic status or economic power that they have. So economic power, because as per the economic power, people have different demands, and these demands and legal imperatives means essentials, and the nature of legal imperatives in any given state corresponds to, related to. So it does not give you any information that they are antithesis. Antithesis means just opposite. So A is wrong. Predominance is also not established. It is the interrelationship of politics and economics. So if you analyze the word correspond to, it does not give you the clear picture about whether one is dominant or the other one is dominant. So that was passage 22. Now we have 24 is very easy. Anyone who has chosen option for passage number 24, it talks about during the summer in Arctic Ocean. Passage number 24, that is question number 25. This option C is wrong. Without the presence of polar bears, the food chains in the Arctic region will disappear. You see that passage says that polar bears are atop Arctic food web, atop which stand polar bear. So when the polar bear is on the top of this food chain, of course, just because the polar bear is not there, without its presence, the food chains in Arctic region will disappear, is not the author's message. D is the right option. Climate change poses a threat to the survival of polar bears. Yes. Okay. So option D is the right answer. Now coming to the last question. This one is very simple. Again, the distortion has been done. It should be only despair in a country sometimes leads to dictatorship. Author has written the passage leader versus dictator in this. And how so only D is the option, rest of the option has been distorted. A leader foresees his future, leader does not foresee, other people foresee. देखिए यहाँ लिखा हुआ है इस सेंटेंस में, moreover it is usually possible to foresee that he will reach such a position. He is used for leader, so how he is not foreseeing himself, rather others. B, a leader is chosen only by a free, only it makes it incorrect, we don't know. C, a leader must see that his country is free from, nowhere it C is given, so this is only D option. Now folks, so 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, ये आपने इसमें स्कोर किया, बहुत अच्छा स्कोर है. I will take another 5 to 10 minutes of yours, and we'll let you know about remaining part of this test you are supposed to solve. Let me just take you to the passage number 1 where you may need my intervention. This question is about a kind of inference you have to draw here. So this question is, any of the following if true would make the argument above logically correct except. Except means that you have to find out a false argument. In which statement option is false according to the passage. Yes. And the statement says Rahul is older than Shikha. So Rahul is older than Shikha is given in the first. Second point, since Mohan, the author is using the premises and then he draws the conclusion, it means. Since Mohan is older than Rekha, it means Rahul is older than Rekha. So author says, since Mohan is older than Rekha, I write with RK, and from here he draws the conclusion that it means that Rahul is also older than Rekha. What you can infer about Mohan and Rahul's age from this piece of information? That since Mohan is older than Rekha, it means Rahul is older than Rekha. Just focus on these 2 points. So first inference you can deduce that Mohan and Rahul could be of same age. Yes or no? Mohan and Rahul are of same age. So if Mohan is older to a person, Rahul will also be older to the same person. Right? Simple logic. Second possibility or second inference we can deduce from it, since Mohan is older than Rekha, it means Rahul is also older than Rekha. This gives us another possibility that Rahul may be older than even Mohan. So if Mohan is older to any person, Rahul is naturally older to that person. So 2 inferences we have deduced from the given information. One, both of them could be of same age, Mohan and Rahul, or Rahul is older than Mohan. But in option A, it says Mohan is older than Rahul, which goes against the argument structure of the passage. So only option A is false. Yes, understood. So remaining questions of this sheet are inference based. You are supposed to evaluate the given data properly. Already we have done 10 plus 5 plus 1, 16 questions out of 26 already done. Remaining 10 questions, some questions are based on inference. Maybe one question is based on a weakening argument. So I just show you that weakening argument based question that we did today. However, the chances of a weakening argument question in the exam is very low. Passage number 21. It asks you about a weakening argument. Which of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the argument? Most seriously weakens the argument. So what the first step I have told you? Always identify the argument first and only then go for the anticipation for the correct answer. So here the argument is author reveals in the last part. In the beginning it is not clear what he is saying. In the last part he says it is B schools after all that flooded the banking world with the graduates of their prestigious MBA courses. They then helped the economy to nosedive. So author blames MBAs produced by the B schools and they have in fact crashed the economy. So negative role has been described here. You have to weaken author's argument. It means anticipate first. The correct option should be, trying to shift the blame from MBAs to something else, right? So choose the correct option. Evaluate the correct option. An option that shifts the blame from MBAs who have according to author, they have crashed the economy. And you have to weaken his argument. So of course the correct option will be giving a rebuttal to this claim and it will shift the blame from MBAs to something else. जल्दी से बताइए कौन सा आंसर है आपके अकॉर्डिंग. I am waiting for your answer and then I am going to address the other issues, not this test. Only this question I have taken up. Remaining question, you will be given the answers of the remaining 8-9 questions along with explanation so that you don't have any problem. Very good, Anis. It should be option A, rightly said. The current phase is a natural part of the cycle that economy goes through periodically. So if it is a natural cycle, so how can MBA be blamed? They should not be blamed. Option B is vague option. Something that goes up has to come down. It does not clear what goes up, economy or business school or what. Option C and D are certainly not weakening, rather supporting the author's argument. Yes, everyone has cracked it. So remaining questions of this sheet, folks, now stop attempting the questions. You have done, some of you have done a really good job and have most of the time scored more than 70% accuracy. Undoubtedly, the RC passages are doubtful. Sometimes there is a subjectivity also in the answers. And but practice is very important. As on the day one, I told you that your concept clarity is just this much. This is your concept clarity, CC part. Then your practice is even more important. So you should not go for any compromise on this part. And then mock tests, they play a very important role because they give you real test of time, because the practice material you are doing on your own and maybe in your comfort zone, actual test of time and strategy is here in the mock test. So time and your strategy. Once you are done with this, you will find yourself. You will have something important in your hand. How are you going to attempt 2023? So as I have said, don't worry about the remaining questions in your folder. I want you to give them a try, like all the multi-para passages, the questions remaining from this test 3. Other questions we have all done. Just I think 1 or 2 questions are left. PYQ has been shared with you to gain confidence since the answer sheets are already available. So attempt them. We have on 26th, I have this, this marathon, as somebody asked me about this marathon. I want you to try that, join that one, because I will be using different questions. So far as the practice is concerned, I will not use the same material. I will try my best to use some other material. So my existing students who have already attempted or attended the classes a few months ago or a few weeks ago, they get a fresh chance to revise. Hence, repeating the same questions will not serve the purpose. So, of course, the new passages mostly you will come across. One or two here, a couple of passages here or there, same passage, maybe another thing, but majority of the questions will be new for you. So, somebody asked about this. Thank you so much, Anirban and Spandan. I have not read your paragraph yet. I will go through, but something Really very sweet there. So dear, so far as this marathon is concerned, I want you to viv that, join that, and for the sake of practice and for the sake of time, whether are you able to do the slots of, because there will be longer sessions, so I will be giving you a slot of maybe 10 questions or 8 questions at a time, and we'll see that how much time you take. All right, so ah, it's been very beautiful, and used like I'm the only one who use the left hand in writing. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Spandan and Debsmita, and fine. I was in. I mean, it was expected of me to share the contact number with you so in case you have got doubts. Though I suppose that most of your doubts will be sorted out when you join this. Further practice, and it will be more strengthened during your marathon class. So you can WhatsApp me whenever you have the issues. Thank you so much, Parth, and others who are still writing. So my WhatsApp number, the WhatsApp number I share with you. Thank you so much, Biswajit. I have, since you have, uh, written so sweet and beautiful, lovely messages. So of course, WhatsApp number. And thank you for this Eid Mubarakbad. I, also wish you a very happy and a very happy Eid, as well as I wish you all the luck, the best of luck for this year 2023 CSAT. And I believe that all the students who responded, or maybe who were not writing their answers but they were listening and following all along, they all will come out of this this hurdle with flying colors, and all the very best. And it has been really very experiential thing for me as well, because teaching so many students online in such a in this group, you guys have really been very responsive, and you have really understood the points very well, so your accuracy reflects that. Thank you so much. So the answers and options will be shared with you, right, as I promised. All the very best, and see you during that marathon.